Hey, hey, hey. How's it going, dearie, dear one? Look, I have recorded like 6 podcasts or voice recordings, whatever you want to call them. And for whatever reason, I am not posting them. I keep trying to do the same one over and over again. And I just either one of two things, or yeah, I mean, these are the two basic things that could be at play. One is that I don't really want to talk about that, or two, that maybe there's something outside of me that doesn't want me to talk about that. I would normally not believe such a thing because I believe that everything outside is a reflection of the inside, right? However, I have witnessed too many times when my teacher or other people are trying to teach us about kind of these negative forces, how so much in the external reality works to make them not share that thing. My teacher will never teach this one course again. She taught us about the negative soul groups, and like the entire world fell apart trying to get her the day of she was coming to teach us. Like she ended up in the hospital. Like it was like 7 things happened, something crazy, just like it was a crazy sequence of events. And so that being said, is it real, is it not? I don't know. I was trying to talk about these, like this dark night of the soul. I myself have had quite a few of those, and sorry, my recording was getting all funky. Oh my God. I'm going to pause this for a second because my computer is starting up and acting crazy. Okay, hopefully it's all done. So, okay, so I've landed at a new place with that, so maybe that's why I waited till this moment to say it. For those of us, I had this message last night that for those of us who have had an extremely challenging past couple years, I'm talking about beyond COVID, right? I'm talking about, fine, we can agree that the world was in a weird and crazy place during the time of COVID, but then for some of us and most of my friends, that continued really intensely thereafter. And I truly and deeply believe that that is because there is um, there is a group of people that is being prepared to be the space holders for the next round of intensity. I don't think we've seen much of what is coming at all. I think that COVID was a preview. Do I want to believe that? No, but sometimes you have to go into the intuition, and just because something isn't rosy and perfect does not mean that it's any less correct for you, right? Whether we are in an ancestor simulation, and if you know what that means, in short, like we're coming back to see if we can, like through a simulation, to see if at this inflection point we can change the course of history, or um, problem solve something that happened in the past so that we can correct it. You know what I mean? Like, how could we have done it differently? Or how can I, um, for what is coming next in, prime reality, how can I, like, augment my abilities by creating these simulations, much like a pilot does when they are practicing flight. They simulate it, and that's a very real thing, and it's very important part of the process. Instead of putting them up in the air with a you know multi-million-dollar plane that they could potentially crash, right? So the simulation makes sense. And I mean, I know that I waver on this, but I don't think that it's one or the other. I cannot and will not, until my own experience and my own guidance tells me otherwise. I will not deny that there is some sort of magical quality that is seemingly simulated to this reality. And I can say that and in the same breath tell you that nature is everything. And I love and hold true the story of Sophia. They're both true to me. And how they fit together, well, that is the question. When I was 18, I remember being like, I noticed that the world is searching for God. It seems like historically this has always been the thing, the man's search for God. And distinctly remember this. I was like, I'm just going to figure this shit out so that I don't have to waste my time. Like, however, what I didn't realize until last night, or actually, was that's exactly what I've been doing ever since then. It's this like search for the nature of reality, and that is what some people call God. Where am I? How does this place work? And the only reason that I really want to know that is so that I can help alleviate some of that search time for others who may resonate with what it is that I find, and so that I know how to properly create in this reality, and to do it in a way that doesn't incur any sort of debt, you know what I mean? Or yeah, whether or not you believe in karma and all of that, it's they're markers, right? So it's like through the creation, it feels like it reverberates in some sort of mirror world. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I make sure that I navigate correctly and lightly and with real intention, and not just based on what I've been told by any sort of external force? Again, I love listening to other people's views because sometimes they'll just say this one little thing that I try on for size, and it becomes an integrated part of my own view. Anywho, back to what I was saying. I mean, that was a part of what I was saying, but it feels like we're here for either some sort of timing, like navigation, like how do we come up to this point, this inflection point, this singularity point, this whatever you want to call it point that everything seems to point to, right? Whether it's religion or science or what have you, that tells us that we're coming upon like a really important time, like a really, yeah, like I don't even know if it's important for humans per se. Maybe it's just important at the spirit level for our evolution, but something is happening. And like my blind intuition, like blind as in like not necessarily visual, but like what I sense and I can feel is this very challenging time that's coming, that it's not necessarily going to be challenging for me or for this group that I speak of, which is more than likely you, because I do feel like I am here for that group, right? Like it feels like our challenge is more behind us, that the internal challenge is what prepares us to be able to really hold space for a larger part of the collective that is going to be coming into so much of this. And I don't know that it's necessarily about taking people into the deep dark underworld of um, this reality and all the things that we had to bear, right? Maybe what we get to impart is kind of like another version of that. What is that sound? That was crazy. I don't know if you heard that, but there's a very strange sound outside my door. And just to hold space for people. There's going to be a freak out. I mean, most of us listening and me speaking, we went through the past few years incrementally, like, and like in a very methodical almost way, like learning all these different things, whether they be conspiracies or hidden truths or all of that, maybe only to find out that most of it was bullshit, but it did feel essential. But maybe we did that so that those coming don't have to. Maybe they can trust what where you've landed and what you say, because maybe they did know that you went down into these rabbit holes, and maybe you can say to them, listen, I'm going to spare you a lot of time and energy, you know, bypass this part and look into this part, or just know that it's going to be okay, like, or let me explain a little bit of what I've discovered about the nature of reality and see if it works for you. And I'm not saying that everyone's meant to be a frontline leader, like making TikTok videos, okay? I just mean that for every, 50 people, there's going to be one person who's done some of this work. And so be ready. Be ready to be in service in that way. Something big is coming next year, man. I mean, I would love to mind over matter this, and I'd love to just go move to a mountain and just say peace out and just, go. But that's not why I'm here, right? Like, that's not why I'm here. Um, and I don't think that's why you're here. It could be, and it's all based on the individual genius. Like, what is your genius? And beyond your genius, like, what I find is there are a few things that I'm good at. One of them is creativity. I love to paint, and I love to, like, that's like a solace. That's like a safe place for me to escape. But that's not what's necessarily being asked of me. Not even is it to apply that creativity to the other thing necessarily. But for example, to be a speaker, a public speaker, a communicator of the things that I've learned is actually not something that was inherently present for me growing up. I used to get major, major anxiety when I had to public speak. I remember giving speeches at weddings and toasts and shaking violently, at the knees, like knees buckling because I was so nervous to speak. So, for example, I have become good at it, and now I feel very comfortable in front of a camera. I did not for years, like my whole life, until I started making videos on Instagram when I was cajoled and b- borderline forced to by my unseen forces or team or high self. Like, I kept getting that message, you got to do this. I was like, no, 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 no. So my point is that it's interesting that yes, some of the things are genius that we come with and that we've always had and that come easy to us, but it's not surprising that maybe the thing that we're actually supposed to be doing here is the thing that we have to reach for, the thing that's maybe a little bit more difficult for us, or that we are avoiding but we know we need to do. Maybe that is a part of the individual's mission in service at this time. Now, I mean, I can argue so many things about service and being like, we have to be in service. And then I can also say in the same breath that, don't fucking worry. Like, you got nothing to worry about with other people. You just got to do you. Like, you do you. And like, let's get through this. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to put your mask on before you put it on for others. But they're both true. They're both true. And honestly, what I think this time has been the past 2 years, since since COVID has ended or whatever, and most of us have still been deep, deep, deep in these places. I feel that for us, that time is coming, that difficulty is coming to an end, and this has been the time to go in and excavate and listen to what the next thing is, right? So my suggestion to you, you can take it or you can leave it. Either way, I won't know, and that's fine. But my suggestion is use these last few months, maybe 4 or 5 up to 6 months, whatever it is, to like really hone in on those skills, really get some clarity, get more clarity about not the easy thing, not the zone of excellence, but the zone of genius, and start to invest in that aspect of yourself because now's the time. Like, sorry, my chair is so squeaky, squeaky, weaky. Yeah, because that time is coming for you to activate it. And we can't really avoid it anymore, nor should we. I feel like our investments must be in ourselves and in ourselves. And also, it just feels like everybody that I know, and I'm not saying this is true for everyone, because I think that some people are like the true students of earth, right? And that some of us have come with mastery and advanced knowledge to help people in this time of transition, in this time of graduation. Um, and now's that time. And we may have sat dormant on this genius for our entire lives, and now is the time to activate it. And just know that can happen instantaneously. How to do that, how to know what the genius is, look, there are a lot of ways, but the main way is to contemplate and to question throughout the day, and just bring it to the forefront of your mind and allow the field to reveal it to you. So I talked to this psychic. I don't know if I've said this in any of the recordings, but I'm going to give you a bit of an example. So I saw this psychic, and forgive me if I'm repeating the story. You need to hear it again. If not, then this is new. So I saw this psychic, older woman. I haven't been to one in a long time. I have HPOA. I don't feel like I need one, but sometimes we have our own blind spots, and this is why we reach out to other people. This is why people, can come to me and do sessions, because when we have resistance, when we have, shadows and inner children and all kinds of layers of ourselves that are attempting to keep us in the known, then we can't really see what is within us. But sometimes a person could come along and see these parts of ourselves, and they're beautiful, right? And they can see it, and they can help us to see them, which is wonderful, wonderful when that happens. And the psychic said to me a lot of things, but one of them was that I didn't know what I was actually here to do, that I wasn't doing it currently, that very, very shortly it would change. Like what I thought I was here to do would end, and I would hand it off to somebody else, and that I would then move into this other thing. She gave me a few hints. She told me that I was a communicator and a teacher of spiritual knowledge, which I know, okay, but like the way I've been doing it is different. So anyway, I kept thinking about this, like, what could it be? What could it possibly be? So I would use HBOA to try to figure it out. And she also said that the reason I didn't know was that if I did know, that my guides were telling her that I would sabotage it. So they were making sure that I got to the finish line or whatever, which I thought was funny because it's so accurate and so me for that to be the case. So, so I've been thinking about it, contemplating it. I have this dream one night that I'm at like a rave, and I'm surrounded by, old friends. And I'm me now, me having been through the past, 6 years or whatever it is, like in my own little bubble. But I'm at a rave, and a few things happen that aren't, part of the story necessarily. I'm not going to bore you with my dreams. I know how much people love to hear other people's dreams. But this one part was people were like asking me if I wanted sutra. And I understood this as being like the name of a drug, like some new designer drug. Hey, have some sutra. You want some sutra? Like, snort some sutra. And I was like, no, I'm cool. Thanks. Like, I'm good. I was like, I'm rolling my eyes. Fuck, man, get me out of here. I was like, so annoying. And then out of nowhere, this like totally wild, like from the jungle shaman popped into frame out of absolutely nowhere in a loincloth and pinned me down and was like screaming, Sutra, Sutra, like at me. It was almost like he was injecting me by like screaming these words with the sutra. It was an amazing dream, actually. And I woke up and I contemplated that, and I still am. But when I looked up the word, the definition of sutra is the communications, the teachings of a spiritual teacher. Now, I mentioned this to a friend, and she suggested that maybe it was like that I was going to find some other sutras, like whether, in Sanskrit it means the thread of knowledge, like the thread that weaves like the story of knowledge. And then I think according to the Gnostics, it means like the Gospels. But then there was a third definition that was like, it all means the same thing, the spiritual teachings. And when my friend said, well, maybe there are teachings out there that you're supposed to find and share, I was glad to hear her say that, because it was like a very immediate, visceral, like, nope. Like, I got my own thing. Like, I am not here to regurgitate anybody's anything. I have something to create, and it will either lend itself to people or it won't. And either way is perfectly fine. Like, I have, you know what I mean? Like, I just have my own thing, my own amalgamation, my own way of seeing the world that I think is unique to me. And they say there's nothing new under the sun, but I don't believe that. I don't think that that's true. I think that if a person is truly in their authenticity and they are authentically sharing from within, that doesn't mean it's not an amalgamation. That doesn't mean that a bunch of things didn't come from the external world, but the way that it is processed and integrated and then that new creation, that new child comes out of that, I think is um, completely unique. And quite frankly, why we're here, to create novelty, as Cliff High would say. It's all about that. I mean, for me, I hold those two things, novelty and authenticity, in the highest of regard, like the highest of the high. And that brings me to something else. Like, I would say that my superpower, and I'm not sorry if this comes off, if someone listens to me and they perceive me as being like lacking humility or being egocentric or whatever, I have to stop giving a flying fuck. I really do, because that is just the programming that is trying to keep us down, right? So the programming working through individuals, and then I always eat it up. I'm always like, yeah, I'm small. I'll just be like small and like nothing. It's like, no, I cannot anymore with that, or at least today. Today I cannot. I'm just going to tell you that I have a superpower. Can you accept that? Can you not accept that? Like, do you have a superpower? Well, I'm here to tell you you do. So I'm just going to tell you about mine right now and hope that that's okay with you and that doesn't trigger you. So my superpower is to be able to know when I'm in the presence of genius. And by genius, I could really equate that with the word authenticity. I think that they're kind of the same. When I'm in the presence of it, I cry. It's not happy, it's not sad, it just is. It's not, it's just like people get goosebumps that are uncontrollable when they feel like they hear a version of truth. That is one level of it for me, but there's this other level that I cry. And like, well, I don't cry. Well, yeah, tears just come from out of my eyes. And it's like a barometer for, yeah, I just get, and I get overwhelmed and up with a positive emotion. It's a very warm feeling where I'm like, oh, like, look at the beauty of this creation or this person and this, it's like so, like, I can feel it right now just saying it. It's the best. It's the best. And when I'm not in the presence of it, or when I'm with someone who's wearing a really big mask or persona, it feels really, really uncomfortable for me. Like I just, yeah, it's a deep unease. Okay. So there was a woman here, sweet woman, who had had like the most challenging day of her life, according to her. And yet, like, what I told her later was like, there was no difference in how she was presenting herself than any other time I've seen her, you know? And so for me, it was like, why are you not acknowledging and allowing yourself to really be in the, like, in the, in the, in the pain of what has occurred? Right. And I even asked her about her human design, even though it may very well just be a matrix design thing. But I asked her, like, if she was an emotional or sacral authority, and she's an emotional. And it's like, I said to her, like, I would rather, I would so much prefer to be in the presence of you kicking and screaming and upset and in pain than, than this, right? Because it's like, that's your truth and it's beautiful. Even the ugly is beautiful. It's like, this again is where, like what I was saying about, maybe you think I'm egotistical. It's like, this is where the programming has got to stop. We have got to allow ourselves these real emotions. And I have another friend who just, she's been going through it and she just eats it. And I can feel her. And I'm like, babe, babe, are you okay over there? And she like won't respond. And that's like a sign for me that she's not okay. And I'm like, babe, babe, are you okay? Are you okay? I just get super annoying checking in on her. And then, she'll say, yes, like, I'm actually going through a really hard time. And I'm like, okay, like, now we can do something. Now let me, do I have a tool? Do I have something that can help you? And yeah, if you can get there alone, great. But there's a reason that we're not alone. There's a reason that you're surrounded by people, and hopefully if you're in resonance, you're surrounded by people that, have similar, that you can trust with these things, these parts of yourself. So, take it or leave it, man. But I will fucking take you a mess and in pieces just as much as I will take you, sitting in your most elevated and beautiful celestial genius, right? Whatever it is, as long as it's the truth of your experience, I applaud it, I honor it, I love it, I want to see it, I want to know it, I want to witness it. It'll make me cry. Anyway, so that's that. I think we're good. I don't know if I really said what I didn't really have an intention when I started this, to be honest. I'm really glad that a few things figured themselves out there and presented themselves. It is always a joy to do this. Whether I post it or not is another story, whatever that's about. Um, but I will post this one. I feel good about it. I feel clear about it, and I think it'll serve. Just to reiterate, like, use these months to continue to hone in on that which is the truth of your existence, like your genius, your creation, your contribution, your beauty. And if that means like go take the course that you always wanted to take, go buy the book that you need to do, for me, I listened to someone recently that, even though it's like on a very unexpected channel, like there's someone that I really resonate with what he's saying, and he has a school, and I don't go to people's classes. I don't do that. Like I don't. I'm sorry if that sounds. I'm not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Um, if that sounds silly, but I mean, I like to read and I like to watch videos and stuff, but I won't usually take someone's course. One, because people tend to charge a lot of money. His course is like $1,100, which is not, I'm sure, for what it is, that much. And I really need to take a page out of this dude's book, because I'm like, I just want to charge like $10 for my teaching. It's like, oh my God. Like, where's my self-worth? You know, without being ridiculous, it's like, where is that like Goldilocks? What's that Goldilocks number where it's not asinine and it's not uh, undersold as well? Anyway, it's like, I know I need to take his teaching. I don't have the money to do it right now. I want it, and I will find it. And I actually think I'm just going to reach out to him and see what is there, because that's what I'm being guided to do. It's like I'm supposed to learn what he has to teach. Like, it's really important. And yet, I know that the field will find a way to make sure that I get it. So, think outside the box. If there's something you need to do, if there's an investment you need to make, just ask the field, how am I supposed to do this? You want me to do this? Show me the way. Show me the way. Show me, what's the next idea you have? What's the next person you talk to? Mention it to them. Don't keep it to yourself. Stay open. Like, keep on the path. Don't get bogged down by what you see, because what you see is not the truth. The truth is what you know. And so know what you know, and then let this reality respond to that. That's my prescription. Sending lots of hearts, lots of warmth, and encouraging, encouraging vibes. They're all around you. They're pink and they're wavy, and like, I'm like your cosmic cheerleader. I'm like always there. I believe in you. I'm like the person that whispers to your genius. I'm a genius whisperer. Genius, I know you're in there. I know you're in there. It's time to come out. The world needs you. It really, really does. Or the world, or the reality, or the pixels, or, you know, whatever this place is. It needs you. That's why you're here. We're so glad you're here, genius. I can't wait to meet you. The whole world is awaiting your arrival and your debut with bated breath. Much love.